Welcome, Leia. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Yeah.
Second episode or whichever it's
Whatever
gonna be.
it ends up
Whichever
being.
it's going to be.
Hopefully it makes it out of my computer or
It's gonna be
hopefully
fine.
makes it somewhere. Okay, so Leia, are you excited to hear some stories?
I am very excited. I'm very scared of what
I chose?
prepared for me because you know how you love like crazy stories.
Yeah.
I love to hear them. So let's see. I'm also very scared. Am I going to sleep tonight? This is like the big question.
They're not really
Freaking
scary.
out.
I don't think they're really scary, but maybe that's just
I'm
me.
joking.
I don't think
Yeah,
they're really
maybe
scary.
You just take used to No, I'm joking. I'm prepared for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot. Let me know.
Okay, you ready?
Yes, I think I am.
We'll start off really small.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
We'll start off with some manifestation stories because I know that is
It's my thing.
your jam.
It's my jam. 100%.
And we'll start off with a short one. This one is from r/manifestation. And it's from 7 months ago.
Okay.
And it's titled, My Family Member Won $66 Million.
Okay. Can it be my family member?
After this, you and I
Can
would
we
like
switch?
sit down. We're like, manifestation techniques.
Maybe I need to put that on my board.
Do you have a board?
No, it's on my list like to do. It's something I want to do this year.
We should do that.
I want to do that.
We
Like
should-
candles, like meditation before, be in the zone and do the board.
We should do a bingo card. We can do that later tonight if there's
This
time.
100%, yeah.
Like a cute little bingo.
This I have like a thing in mind of like what I want to do.
Uh-huh.
But board 100%.
Okay. I say we do it.
Yeah, 100%. Let's do it.
I mean, okay, so the story goes, I've been trying to manifest the lottery, writing it down constantly. I have a letter I wrote myself saying I am going to win between $2 and $65 million. I even have screamed into the sky asking the universe to help me win the lottery. Turns out my estranged uncle, who I haven't seen in well over 15 years, won $66 million in the Powerball. I'm still in shock. We just found out today. My grandmother will be getting a very large sum of money and is buying us all houses. I didn't win the lottery, but I'm still very grateful that my uncle did and that he is a giving man.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So I have been trying to manifest winning the lottery unsuccessfully.
You have. So you have like, you've been like putting your mind into it. You've been like trying to get the lottery.
Well, obviously I've been doing a really shit job because I have yet to win any money and I have the app for the lotto, whatever. I went down the rabbit hole of people who successfully were able to manifest money the lottery, how they did it, whether they had the same numbers, whether they tried to meditate on numbers.
Yeah.
And the consensus was just do a random draw because then the universe will just make sure you have that ticket.
Okay.
So when I'm at the gas
technically it works
station,
like the numbers that you pick randomly are actually never random. It's the universe who kind of set it out.
yeah.
So I kind of see. I've never
If
tried.
the computer chooses.
Yeah.
But listen, it all started with one time I was at a gas station and I was chatting with the guy in front of me because it was the day of a lottery, whatever. And
Okay.
you know how sometimes it says you have to go inside to pay even though you tried to?
Okay.
So I go inside, I'm chatting with the guy in front of me and he's like, today is lottery day. If you're ever at a gas station, it's lottery day and you happen to have to fill up on that day, you get a ticket.
Oh.
And so I started doing that.
Oh my God.
And I have won $0.
How many times did you do it?
Even my mom started doing it because it became an ongoing joke.
But it's a free thing. They give you a ticket.
No. I pay for a ticket.
I was like, okay.
I do the Wednesday and the Thursday,
That is
$10.
So funny.
And I have only ever won a new lottery ticket
I'm
once.
dead. No, it's
And,
crazy.
And it's so funny because you would think at least I would have won $10 or $20 to be keep playing.
Yeah, at least teasing you.
Nothing.
For
I've won
nothing.
nothing.
You just go back.
Yeah.
And no one asks you anything. You just give you
Well,
money
no,
away.
it's the next time
I'm
that
joking.
I actually have one upstairs I haven't checked from last week. I should check. There's a lot of lottery winners that don't realize that they won their ticket.
I'm not surprised.
So there's I think there's 22 million. There's some,
No.
I might pull that out of my ass, but I looked it up yesterday. There's there's a very large amount of money that's unclaimed. That people in random cities.
Oh,
So if you
wow.
buy lottery tickets and you might not have checked them properly,
You have to
scan
check them.
them.
100%.
Because there's a bunch of money that goes unclaimed. And you have a year to collect it. Otherwise it goes back in the pot. But Yeah, I've been trying to manifest winning the lottery with no success. So,
I don't know.
And
I've never tried. It's not on my bingo list, or like it's not on my manifestation list. Like it's not something I'm like, I want to win the lottery.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sometimes people say money's cursed. Well, like I
know I do want money, but it just never occurred to me. It was never a big thing in my family. Well, my mom was like playing a lot when I was younger, but like I don't know.
It's like no one in my family was ever really into the lottery.
Yeah.
Like growing up, my housekeeper was. We used to go. When we used to like walk back from school, we used to always stop and play the lottery.
I kind of love that. Okay,
but she would do it like once, like I don't know, once or twice a week. She'd pop in and she'd like have the same numbers, and she would like go. This is back when you used to like scratch a piece of paper. You know what I mean? And then you like would give it to them, and they would print you a ticket. But
So how does it work? Not that I want to.
I just go in and like just give me the numbers.
So
or
like they randomly pick it. You don't pick anything.
No, so you can if you want to. Also, you can just like go on an
like
app. But like a part of me in my head's like, maybe the app then knows, and then maybe the lottery people, maybe they're
set you up for the wrong thing. Yeah,
maybe they know that not to choose those numbers. Although I did hear it's like that's actually like very much so not a thing. That like it is very regulated. That it's like, but still. Anyways, I'm gonna win the lottery one day because I manifesting it.
But let's go back though to the story, right? Because like, so she manifested it.
Well, actually, she was manifesting 2 to 65 million herself.
2 to 60. So it's actually a big, like, I mean, it's not a very precise range.
Yeah.
So she kind of like, so
and
it
he
was
got
2 to 66.
And he got 66. And so 1 million more.
Yeah.
But he was giving it to her grandmother that's then going to buy them all houses. So she's getting a percentage of.
But what I'm picking up on the story though, it's like she manifested it for someone else.
Well, that's how it's
kind of crazy.
But even the fact that he's a very giving guy, so he's going to give them money.
Give it away. So she kind of she won the lottery, not directly, indirectly. Yeah.
Well, they say when you're manifesting to be really careful because if you're not specific enough, like if you're like, hey, I want to not be able to, like, I want to come into a large sum of money. I don't care how I get it. You might get it through inheritance.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like people say be very careful. Like you might get it, but it might be in the form of like a disability compensation because you get hurt. Like you have to be very careful when you ask the universe for something. How much you get it. And like to make sure there's no negative that you know, there's always going to be some push or pull, but if you're not specific enough, the universe might send it to you in the way that's quickest to you, which might not be.
Yeah, most likely.
Might have like a secondary effect or a secondary consequence you didn't think about.
But that's why I'm confused because like, you know how you just said that you need to be very specific on how much you want to get. But
also how you're going to get it. Like, I don't want to get it from a payout of insurance from an accident.
No, 100%. But like already how much? Because like, this was my first question. Like the range is crazy.
Oh, there's a story. So, you know, I do those gateway tapes.
Yes.
Well, and one of the things is patterning that you can do, which is a form of manifestation. And so these tapes, these gateway tapes are basically this guy, Bob Monroe, uses frequencies to get you to a certain focus level to be able to do certain things, allegedly. And in the Reddit thread, there are people who say they try to pattern winning $100,000 and then they go into Grand Theft Auto into a casino, like in their game, and their character wins $100,000. Okay. They're like, it's they were trying to manifest it, but they weren't specific enough. So they didn't win real money. Their character in the game won money.
Okay.
Like the universe is like, does like very funny things sometimes where he's like, after like really like my character won the sum of money in a video game and I did it.
It's like the precise like amount of money that they like try to manifest.
It's everything he asked for, but his character got it in a video game.
That is so funny. I don't know. I feel like this is the whole thing about manifestation, right? For me, the way I see manifestation is more about like setting up goals, like making sure you can like. It's a mix between setting up a goal, believing in the universe, God, whoever. To be honest, I feel like it's just the energy that you have around, and it's kind of like, you know where you're going, you believe in yourself. But I've never thought of like try to get out of like the universe like money or like material things.
Because you're a well-adjusted person.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess.
do not claim to be a well-adjusted person.
No, I don't know. It's just like, for me, it's more like, career goals, where I want to be. Like, I mean,
you're a well-adjusted person.
Like the reason why I'm in Canada, right? Like, it's one of the main reasons. Like, I've always known I wanted to be in Canada. I've been like my goal
give
for 10
a little
years.
background to
100%.
to whoever ends up stumbling upon this podcast.
100%. So, born and raised in Paris, suburbs, exactly. Fully French. I've moved around for work. I was living in Amsterdam for 3 years before. It was never the place I wanted to like end up, and I wanted to live my life. For the longest time, like for 10 years, I've always wanted to move to Canada.
And like, why? How many times had you been here?
Yeah, so I came here once with my family on a holiday.
To a different
summer,
province?
Actually in Quebec, yeah. I did like the road trip, whatever. Amazing, I loved it. And I've always wanted to come back. I don't know what it was. I think it's just like big street. It's very kind of like corny, but like big streets, just like a different mindset, like very nice people, even though,
I mean, I don't know. I think I'm a bitch. Kidding. I don't think I'm a bitch.
No, Canadians are like so nice. You are very nice. So stop it.
Thank you.
And yeah, so like I've always wanted to come back. I was telling everyone. So I feel like it's a big thing for manifestation.
When you speak it into the world.
You have to speak it into the world. You have to speak. But to be honest, it's like you say, of course, but like it's one of the hardest things to do, because you kind of have to make sure that it's like tangible enough for you to like speak it, that you want it enough for you to speak it.
Well, that you're not going
loud.
to feel like a fraud when you're saying it, because if you're not saying it, like if I'm like joking, like I'm going to win the lottery, it's not the same as being like, I'm going to win the lottery.
And also is the posture that you have. So the position that you get with manifestation, right? Because like it's you cannot say I want to. You cannot position
You have to say
yourself.
you have it.
You have to say you have it.
Yeah.
I've always
But you can say I'm going to get it.
I've
but
always
I have
said
it.
to everyone,
Yeah.
I'll be in Canada.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
And then you're here.
And I'm here.
And you knew no one.
And I made it happen because I wanted
Yeah.
to come so bad.
Yeah. And now you have this life and you're never
It's
leaving.
insane. 1 year in.
You're never leaving.
I'm not like threatening, and you have that on video. So yeah, I'm not leaving. No, I'm not leaving. It's really like Canada is like literally Toronto. I don't know. But Canada.
What do you mean?
I mean,
What?
No.
What?
In
This
the
is the
sense of,
first
like,
I'm hearing Canada might not be a forever
No,
home.
Canada is the forever home.
Okay, good.
Toronto, the city.
Sorry, Toronto, I mean. Okay, are you ready for the next story?
Yeah, let's go.
I met my latest crush a few days after creating him as my SIMS husband.
I fully believe in that. I fully fucking believe in that. Sorry, if I don't know if you can cuss in.
No, of course.
Saying that.
Please, whatever. I'll bleep out what we have to bleep out if I have to.
Perfect.
Swearing is welcomed. Whatever's natural.
Okay.
Okay, so this is from Glitch in the Matrix. It's 4 years old. The person starts with, "This one sounds childish, but I'd like to get your insights. And I know that I'm not the only one with this kind of experience. I apologize already because English is not my mother tongue. In November of 2020, my ex and I parted ways for good, and I was both aggravated and upset. I had created him as my sim future husband, and I decided to change him to forget about him. I wanted my new husband to be totally different. Opposite skin color, opposite style, and especially gray hair in order to be really sure that he would be around my age. Brackets, I'm 46 and my ex and I broke up essentially because of a huge age gap, which was excruciating to both of us. I chose a messy hairstyle, pretty formal black clothes, big blue eyes, and other specific physical traits. I wanted him to play the guitar, and I built him a fancy recording studio. I also wanted him to have a decent career and made him work at an office. Just a few days later, my girlfriend was coming over and asked me if she could bring along 2 friends from another part of the country because she was hanging out with them sooner that day. So I welcomed them without knowing them. I kid you not. When I went and opened the door for them, there he was, my sim husband. He locked eyes with me instantly with an inquisitive look, and then he came in and said, "Do I know you? It feels like we've already met."
Oh my God. When I tell you, it's fucked. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I do believe in it.
My response was, "Yes, you're my sim husband."
She said that.
What?
It's kind of crazy. You don't want to scare him away. Well, she's married with him now.
if she created him and manifested him, he can't be scared away. The
You
universe
can't know.
brought him forward.
You cannot know.
So she
Oh
goes,
my God.
what an icebreaker. No need to mention that he matches every characteristic of my virtual version. Same job type, plays guitar in a band, and guess what their dress code was? He has gray, messy hair, big
No.
blue eyes, and the dad bod even. Even the shape of his mouth is the same. We get along perfectly on so many levels, and we got along very well that night. We laughed a lot, and he mentioned later how fast we clicked and how we have many common tastes and interests, especially when it comes to music. Of course, he hit on me pretty heavily a few weeks later. One day, we were chatting at his place, and he told me, "Don't forget, you created me." He totally gets me. This
That's
kind of glitch happened to me another time where I created a different fiance, brackets I know, who looked like another guy I was interested in. I put a beanie on his head with big headphones, as his actual hairstyle was not available. A few days later, I was hanging out with friends when he arrived with the beanie and the color that I chose for him, headphones and all. What the fuck is going on with me?
No, that's kind of crazy. But like, I don't know. I do believe in it. What do you think?
Oh, I believe in it.
Yeah,
We'll go
well,
through
I mean,
some
obviously.
comments. I got another
Yeah, I'm
similar
down
story.
to know what people are saying about it because like,
Yeah.
imagine it happens to you. So you pick things. I mean, to be honest, like, I do believe in that. Just like picturing a perfect partner. Whatever, we all have this picture in our minds, right? Like of the your person. What do they look like?
Yeah.
Sometimes it might happen.
I also,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, they say that if you want to visualize, or sorry, if you want to manifest, you should visualize like very clearly, very specific
100%.
things. And so to some extent, if your intention is like, oh, I wish my real husband were like this, like the one who comes into my life, and you literally build a character where you can see it manifest, I do think that that probably is a way of doing it.
Most likely.
Like-
I've seen so many people doing it, like doing a list of like all the characteristics of like their
Yeah.
future partners and like having like 99% of the list coming true.
Yeah. I have a friend who did that. She told me like when I broke up with when me and my ex, well, was it 1 ex ago? 1 ex ago when we broke up, she sat me down. She's like, Erin, I have a list to show you. She's married to a guy. She shows me this list. I kid you not. It is so specific down to the size of his dick.
Oh my
So
God.
specific. What job he does, how much money he makes, how big of a family he has, where he lives. She lived in Canada. She said that she wanted somebody who lived in New York or Florida. She was so specific. She doesn't live in either one of those places. To a T, 95% of the things on that list, give or take one or two of like the items, matches him to a T.
That is crazy.
To a T. And she's like,
Is it
Erin,
working?
make
Are
a
they still
list.
together?
Yeah, they're married.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're fully married. They're all good. And they met in an elevator when she was visiting another friend. And like, nobody ever asks me out in an elevator. He walked in,
It's crazy.
pressed a button, and he's like, I never ask people out like that, but I had a feeling that I should.
I love that. No, you know what? I think like
Yeah.
just everything happens for a reason. Even if it's because like you manifested it, because you believed in it, because you know it's coming. I feel like it's a big thing, right? Like when we're saying like we know, just it's gonna happen.
Yeah. And I also think that to some extent, because the universe knew what she wanted, when he was in her vicinity, they gave a little bit of a nudge to both of them subconsciously to like be open to
most
it.
likely.
Like they were like more open to each other's energy because they just knew what they were looking for. So they could kind of pick up on somebody who gave off that energy.
Yeah.
So first commenter, well, one of the commenters immediately goes to download Sims and like tell.
100%. Should I just go buy it and like
I
I'm
have to go
setting it
download
up?
Sims. Okay. Another one writes, I read once that you can't manifest something if you can't actually imagine it. So I started trying to figure out the kind of boyfriend that I wanted. I had fantasies lying in bed at night, daydreams of how it would be, all very specific. And eventually I met somebody who was exactly like that. Another commenter writes, my fiance and I decided to design a really unconventional 4-story house in our Sims last year. 1 room on each level with stairs on each floor. Guess what we found when we moved to a different state this year? A 4-story condo
the thing.
with a room
I
on each
live
floor
for
that we
that.
now call home.
I live for these stories
Yeah.
because I believe in it so much, right?
Yeah. Me
Everything
too.
can happen.
I mean, it makes me think we are definitely in a simulation, but we'll get there. We'll
Oh,
get
I'm
there.
obsessed to see what you think about that.
Oh,
I'm still like very eerie. Like I'm still on the fence about the simulation thing.
No, I will definitely get there. Another commenter writes, "This has happened to me and my sister. I told her to make a list of everything she wanted in a man, a list down to the eye color, hobbies, etc. She did this, met him weeks later, and now they have been married for 15 years. Weird, but maybe the universe just needs to really know what you want."
I think you need to know what you want.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
this is the, I mean, if we go into this kind of things, you need to know what you want.
Yeah.
And
You have to
everything
be
that you do.
certain.
For sure.
So then another commenter writes, "Here is a short explanation as to how I believe this works. The causality is that there is a future probable event that is very likely to happen. And then to make it special or make it seem like you created reality, it can open you up towards a larger reality. You are given the thoughts that correlate with that." Huh. So in this instance, when you were creating the Sims guy, you were not creating it as free as you thought, but you were inspired in how you created him, even though you were unaware on a subconscious level.
Yeah, I guess it's like a kind of a circle type of thing. Like everything is connected. Like I feel like it's kind of puts future, past, present into this,
Yeah.
in the same perspective when what he's saying. I don't know if I agree with it because it would mean that
It would mean that the future is not
present,
is done, kind of because
Exactly.
you're like you already know where you're heading, which I think is also
It's
somewhat
scary.
true. I think
it's scary to me, to be honest. But yeah,
I think it's true.
I
think
know.
that
I remember we were having this conversation before.
in one of they talked about this in the episode with Kelsey, but one of the books that I read, Journey of the Souls, which is one of my favorite books, and one of the chapters he talks about when you're like choosing your life.
Yeah.
And that you go into almost like a movie theater and you connect and you get to see if you choose a certain life, like all of the all the things that are going to happen, all the people that you are likely to meet. It's not a guarantee because you still have free will, but like this is kind of the trajectory that you're on. So in that case, like I wonder if this guy was somebody that she like recognized as being a positive thing, or being a positive interaction or a positive relationship when she was previously, like when she was a spirit kind of assessing what life she wanted. Maybe she just like recognized it and built the character that way. I don't know. I still think that she just manifested him. But, if we're going to get into...
I think it's manifestation. I think it's being open to what you want. I think it's being clear with what you want and then recognizing it. You know what I mean? Because like the more clear and like manifestation can be a lot of things. But I think it's also aligning what you want with what you attract.
Yeah.
And once you know, you attract it and you recognize it and you see it and then you accept it and then it's your husband for 15 years.
Yeah.
So cool. Should I go get I'm gonna
go stop
get
attracting what I've been attracting into my life.
I mean, it's
I'm getting
yeah, we're sidetracking to like a dating show.
Okay, so here's another one titled, "I created my boyfriend in The Sims years before I met him." I think I need to download The Sims. I'm not kidding. There's lots of Sim stories. 5 years ago, glitch in the Matrix. When I was a teenager living in Vienna in the small country of Austria, I excessively played The Sims. I created all kinds of families, and they were all kinds of crazy stories. Most of them were unrelated to anyone I knew, just straight out of my imagination. As the game got developed to the Sims 4 version, the details got very much on point when it came to creating your Sims. I was always very hesitant to create myself or anyone I knew because I would feel bad if anyone died in the game, as they would portray my real life people. I also didn't want to put anything out there, if you know what I mean, like attract anything bad. With The Sims 4, though, I decided to create myself, but with a different last name that matched my Sims husband's last name. The husband was the color of my celeb crush at the time, who was 50 Cent. I was 17 years old at the time. He was wearing a black tank top, camouflage pants, trainers, and a black watch. They lived a happy life together, had kids, and I made sure they died peacefully, as I did not want to attract any negative outcome to the situation. I met my boyfriend 2 years ago after I moved to London. We are in a very happy relationship. One day, we were at a market, and it was really hot, so I bought a dress so I could change into something lighter. And my boyfriend bought some pants in a thin material. He asked if I liked them, and I turned and saw that he was wearing camouflage sweatpants. I said yeah, and we proceeded to go home to change, as we live a couple of minutes away. We changed our clothes, and my boyfriend asked me if he looked good. I finished dressing up and looked at him to check his clothes, and he was wearing a black tank top the camouflage sweatpants, trainers, and a black watch that I had bought him as a present some weeks ago. I immediately realized he looked like my husband from The Sims that I created many years ago. I started laughing and said, "You look like my Sim."
Oh my God.
He looked at me confused, and when I told him what I meant, he said, "Oh, so you attracted me into your life," with a cheeky smile, and I guess he was right. That is the most glitch moment I have ever had, but I don't regret it at all. Edit, some extra info I forgot to mention. I also remember I created the husband and many other husbands for my Sims with the traits of an artist, as I wanted to have nice pictures in the house of my Sims. My boyfriend is an artist himself, and we have loads of pictures up that he drew. If this is the Matrix, they really pay attention to detail.
That is crazy. No, it's so funny. Like, you attract what you want. You have to know what you want to achieve, because like then you will attract this person. Everything is connected.
Yeah.
But like we have to remember the choosing part, because like only giving it up to like the universe is not working.
So I'm just taking a look over some of the other stories that I have here. So we're going to go into a little bit. We're going to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
Still related to maybe simulations and maybe what is real, and like, whether things are like real and physical and exist or not.
Okay.
And perceptions and how all that kind of blends into each other.
Okay.
So the first story we have here in this little veering into a new-ish topic, we have, my dad and I survived a tornado that never existed. Okay.
Oh my God, okay.
All right. So this is from Glitch in the Matrix, 7 years old. I came across this subreddit recently while trying to find the answer to something that bothered me for many years. So I'm posting to see if anyone has insights outside the normal collective mismemory garbage. When I was 13, my father and I survived a tornado that apparently never existed, and it still makes me question our reality. It happened on a summer afternoon when we made a quick stop home between games from a softball field not far from my house. My sister and I both had made all-star teams through our local league, and she was in the middle of a game. So my mother stayed with her while my dad brought me home to change and eat between doubleheaders. The softball field was less than a mile from where we lived, so it would take us a whole 3 minutes to get home. During these 3 minutes, the sky went from sunny to almost no clouds in a very sinister, dark sky. We live in Rhode Island, so it's not totally weird as New England weather changes more than most people do their underwear. But I do remember thinking I never saw us drive into a storm cloud or recognize how it got so dark so fast. It just suddenly was. My dad made a comment about how my second game would probably get postponed because it looked like a serious thunderstorm. Another thing I'll mention, it was a passing thought at the time, but it's relevant now, was that we pulled onto my street coming home and it was unusually deserted. We live in a dead-end side street and most people had multiple cars. Almost all of our neighbors parked on the street in front of their house. We all had unspoken designated spots, and I remember thinking I'd never seen the street so bare as we pulled into it. I went into the house with my dad, went to the bathroom, changed, and grabbed a sandwich. My dad went downstairs to check his work email, and I walked outside to the car to wait for him. It was so dark at this point because of the cloud cover, it felt pointless to even go back to the field. I was mulling over while eating my sandwich when I got this insane ominous feeling. I looked to my left and saw a giant tornado coming down the street towards me. I watched as my neighbor's gutter came flying off and their shingles started to rip off as well. Living in an area where tornadoes just don't exist, I'm pretty sure I went into pure shock from disbelief. I was just standing there, and the next thing I remember is my father grabbing me from behind and pulling me into the house while yelling. He rushed me down to the basement, locking the door behind him. In the next few minutes, there was a ton of commotion with him swearing, trying to call my mom's cell phone to warn her and everyone on the ball field, while I sat there like an idiot, unable to comprehend what had just happened. When my dad got through to my mom, she told him that there was absolutely no storm clouds anywhere she could see, but she pulled my sister from the game nonetheless and told everybody on the two teams playing that he had called her to warn her about this. There was confusion on the field, and the game was stalled. My dad told me to wait while he investigated, as we heard nothing after entering the basement. After the longest 5 minutes of my life, my dad came back, color completely drained from his face, telling me it was gone and I could come upstairs. When I walked up, I noticed that the sun was out. I walked outside. There were several cars on the street in their normal spots that weren't there 10 minutes ago, and my neighbor's house was completely fine. No local news reports. My neighbors never saw a thing, even though 2 of them claimed they had been home the entire time. This was not a small tornado that we saw. There was no way this thing materialized that quickly and disappeared just as rapidly. My dad still doesn't like talking about it. And even when I get him to, he has convinced himself that it must have been a freak thing that began and ended on our road. I know he noticed the same things I did, like the car suddenly being there and the neighbor's house magically being repaired. He's not a very open-minded guy, and I can tell that cognitive dissonance makes him really uncomfortable, so I don't push him too much. But it's obvious he is just as disturbed by the entire thing as I was. It still freaks me out to relive it. It makes me question reality in a very serious way. I'll take all the insight I can get. Edit. Another thing I wanted to add, I felt nothing when the tornado was on our street. No wind, no pull, etc. I have no idea how I knew to look up in the direction other than just getting a gut feeling. My mom later told me that my dad had mentioned the day it happened that he also had a terrible feeling that made him run up the stairs. He called my name, and when I didn't respond, he said he heard a loud whooshing noise coming from outside. This is what led him to look outside to see me and to see the tornado, which is when he promptly rescued my dumb ass just standing there staring. As far as I remember, I heard and felt nothing. I would probably believe I had hallucinated the whole thing if my dad didn't also experience it.
This is what I was going to say. The fact that the dad also experienced it is kind of crazy.
And like when he was able to get through to the mom, warned them. Like she's on a field playing softball or watching the daughter softball, and all of a sudden she's hearing that there was a tornado. Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. I was going to ask you the same thing. I don't know. Is this like, how old was he? Is he saying?
So it doesn't say how old they are.
Okay.
I like always wonder. So there's this theory that I actually stumbled on recently that I had never actually known the term or the lore behind it, but there's this thing called Backrooms. Have you heard of it?
I think you mentioned that to me before, but can you re-explain?
So I actually stumbled on it in, American Horror Stories has like now these mini episodes where they go through random topics, and I stumbled on it in one of those episodes. I was like, wait, I know this lore. It's basically this idea that there are times that you can slip into the back rooms of the simulation. So like the simulation that we live in, there's like the one that we're all operating in, and then there's like underneath or like there's like back end code that you can slip into accidentally, which is just like dead code, or like a concurrently running simulation or something that you can just accidentally end up in that code feed. Mm-hmm. And so, the lore of the back rooms is that people will all of a sudden, I think it's called something click.
Like they shift in time, like something.
They'll like walk through a door in like certain places, and like they'll enter a parallel reality that might be like their reality. Like, that meme of like the hallway with all the doors that's just empty, like that yellow room with just nothing in it. And it's just like walls, like a hall with just like rooms and doors.
I don't know if we have the same algorithm, but maybe.
Probably not.
I don't think I've seen this meme. But I think I see what you mean. Just like options.
Like almost like the same code, but like not the game itself. Like you've almost like you accidentally stumbled into like the other side of the simulation that isn't being played.
Have you seen Community? The show?
No.
They have an episode about it.
Do they stumble into the back room?
They have a thing where I think it's a dice that they roll. I don't remember, but they have like different versions of the reality.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I want that episode.
Yeah. We should watch it. But anyway, going back to this. So backdoor possibility of like living in a moment.
Or like some kind of parallel.
Shifting parallel.
Or like some kind of like simulation that maybe like isn't being played by other players, whether it be that it's empty or like just, people are stuck there for some reason, or like maybe it's computer generated code things that you're interacting with, but it's not like it's not the reality that you're supposed to consciously be tuned into.
Okay.
So common themes that I found around stories like this is like entering through some kind of a storm. Mm-hmm. So like people who like drive through rain or like certain staircases are kind of seen as a common, like people go up a staircase and they end up somewhere else, and when they come back down the staircase they go back.
It's so weird.
But like these like weird, there are weird themes that like surround these things, and one of them is dark clouds and storms, that people like feel like they end up somewhere that they weren't.
But what
before.
I'm shocked about again is both of them.
Yeah. So she's saying, is it like a hallucination between the two of them?
But like, did they take something? Was there something in the sandwich? Like, would something happen? Like,
I mean, did they both accidentally smoke a lot of weed and see a tornado? I don't know.
Was there like Molly in the
I
sandwich
don't see
or something?
tornadoes when I have not smoked weed. You know?
I don't know. What do people say in the comments? Like,
So,
do you have a bit of like comments?
Yes, so I do. I have some comments here. So one commenter writes, "This reminds me of my grandparents' story. Both have since passed now. But when I was a kid, they told me a very interesting story about when they took a trip around their vacation home in Michigan. I believe just to see what was around the area. Supposedly, the weather was awful, heavy rain, that you could barely see anything out the window. As they were driving down the road, the rain all of a sudden stopped and it was clear and sunny without a cloud in the sky. When this happened, they came up to a town and were a little confused as they didn't remember the town being there. They decided to stop and get a bite to eat. When they got out of the car, the first thing they noticed was how quiet it was, although there were people roaming the streets. One thing that caught my grandmother's attention immediately was that no one was interacting with each other. Everyone was faced forward while standing very erect and emotionless."
Oh no. Oh no. Not this. I would die. I would
would you do?
I don't think so. I don't know. I would pass away. I don't know.
You'd immediately be like, what is happening?
I would die. I would scream. I would try to shake someone. I don't know.
If I'm in a town and people are moving and it is silent because nobody is speaking,
no, but just
that
like
is so
erect, like
eerie.
staring the same thing, like no
one's interacting with each other.
other.
Crazy.
That'd be insane.
My grandfather ushered her into a nearby restaurant as he was not very worried about it. He was a Korean war vet and wasn't really scared of anything.
I've seen other things.
When they entered the restaurant, again, silence. People were facing forward, emotionless, and a stiff, upright posture. They were just bringing utensils to their mouth.
No. No, I would die.
My grandparents asked for a table. The waitress said nothing and walked them towards a table and handed them menus. They gave their orders without ever getting a word from the waitress, just a stare. My grandmother is freaking out at this point, but my grandfather persisted that there was nothing wrong. They were just weird people in this town.
No, but I mean, there's weird and weird. Like, I mean, imagine you go to a restaurant.
And the waitress doesn't say anything
we would
to you.
try like having conversation with the waitress. She would not reply back. We would be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. While walking back to the car, he saw that Pat-On was playing at the theater and wanted to see it. Again, he reassured my grandmother that nothing was wrong and was able to convince her to go see the movie.
How long did they stay in this town for? I would have left.
Apparently, the grandfather.
The grandfather was like,
he wanted to prove something. He's like, it's totally normal. It's normal.
100%.
Like trying to convince himself it was normal.
Oh, this or like just like I don't know.
You know,
like,
sometimes
I don't know what
people,
shit he saw during the war, but like I don't want to know at this point.
You know, when sometimes people like dig their heels in when something isn't normal, but they think it's normal, and they're like, no, this is 100%. It's like, it's back to like the memes. It's like the guy in the back of the bus and everything's on fire around them, and they're like, I'm fine.
Oh no,
fine.
I have this one. Okay, I know this one. No, it's denial. Like you have to vote it. I don't know. It's weird.
There they go.
The cinema.
So they get to the ticket booth, and again, nothing is said. They were just handed tickets. They turn the corner into the theater and see that every seat is already filled with people except for a couple of seats near the middle.
No.
The entire crowd in the theater is silent, sitting erect in their chairs and emotionless at a blank screen.
Can we know what the town is? I kind of want to look into it.
He said,
because they said they didn't even remember the town being there.
It was a town that they don't remember that was near their vacation home in Michigan.
What is happening in Michigan?
So now
what is going on?
At this point, the entire crowd in the theater is silent, sitting erect in the chairs and emotionless, staring at a blank screen.
No.
And there's only a couple of seats that are free in the center.
I refuse. I refuse. Imagine if there was only like 2 seats left.
That's a couple of seats is two. But like, that's 2 seats.
Oh my God. It really sounds like you're describing a movie to me.
I don't imagine the grandparents telling the kids this, just like to like for shits and giggles for no reason other than to scare them. I feel like they probably saw some shit because I can't imagine grandparents just telling the kids the story
No,
and then the
I
grandkids the
agree.
story and being like, I just wanted to scare you. And
No, for sure. No, 100%. Just like I've never heard that before.
yeah,
It's so scary.
yeah. And
Oh, God.
so this immediately filled my grandfather with dread. He took
Oh,
my
okay.
grandmother by
Finally,
the
grandfather.
finally.
Finally, what do you need? Like someone to like took him a while.
He took my grandfather by the hand and ran to the car, got in, and took off. When they started to exit the town, there was again a heavy rainfall, like before, and the sun could no longer be seen. My grandfather looked out the back window, and the town was gone. They never.
No. No. What was it like? This like desert? Like
It was gone.
what do you mean?
They never found the town again. That's they're some of the biggest skeptics that I know, and my grandfather never once lied to me as far as I am aware.
No, I don't think it's a lie. I just think it's a fucked up thing.
Yeah. He
What the
says,
fuck?
anyways, I hope I did this story justice, but your experience reminded me of theirs. It's almost like you stepped into another dimension temporarily.
It's fucked up. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Also, the
because I'm like-
storm. Like, I wonder if
Yeah,
it's
let's
like
go back to
bad
the
code.
storm,
I wonder
sorry.
if like sometimes like the code forks and they're like, oh, this is bad code, but like there's some code left over. Like if it's a simulation and it is all coded, like code can fork, I believe. Like you can like fork off code.
I guess so. But like
So
okay,
what if somebody like
we-
forked off the code and like you accidentally, like for whatever reason there was a glitch and like you weren't supposed to go into that fork, but you accidentally got through
but
and
if
they
we-
like shift you back?
No, okay. I'm very skeptical
And
with
like
this one. I'm
that
not gonna
code was
lie
like
to
they
you.
were building the town, but they never
They're
finished
not
it.
dumb?
They never gave them
Is it Minecraft?
voices and communication.
Oh my god.
Like these like non-player, what are they,
crazy.
NPCs or
but my
I forget which one is like code and which one's like actual people, but
but I have a question.
Mhm.
If we believe in the simulation coding and stuff, who is coding it?
well, that's the big question.
Who is manipulating us? I
Is
want to
it
know
a prison
because-
world?
No, but like if we go down to this like
Mhm.
path, you know, like I guess that people that thought about this,
Yeah.
like just like going into the simulation, like we are not living a real world life, whatever.
Yeah.
Who is coding?
I mean, that is the be all question. So like there's
Can I get in touch with him and like have a better life? Like how
Well-
does it work?
well, one of the things with manifestation is that you technically can write your own code. That's part of it. It's that like once you realize that you can kind of go into a meditative state and code yourself, that's one of it's not just it's almost like there is somebody running the simulation, but you have the power to change the code of
Yeah,
like
but
the
it's still
direction you're
happening
heading
in the background. So you can
Yeah,
so
somebody's operating the
pe-
game.
You know, like the grandfather, like the
Or the simulation.
grandparents that went into this like crazy city that
Yeah.
doesn't exist.
That I think that would literally be a glitch where they would end up like in the wrong code. Like that code wasn't supposed to be there.
They shifted codes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess. It's
We-
still like, yeah, tell me.
We have another
You have
commenter.
more? I'm pretty sure. Okay, shoot it.
The same fucking thing happened to me
Oh my
in
God.
1987.
How is
I
go-
was
what is
driving-
going on?
Yeah. I was driving from Regina, Saskatchewan to Minot, Minot, for those wondering. It started storming intensely and I could not see a thing. I wasn't sure if I was even on the right side of the highway, but was afraid to stop as it was a busy main highway and I was worried about getting rear-ended. Then the storm lifted enough for me to see a dirt driveway just to the right. I pulled in just as the storm stopped. It was sunny and normal, and I was at an old gas station with that fake frontage sign like in the 40s and 50s. I had to pee really badly, so I went inside. There was a diner like the old-style Texaco gas stations used to have. A middle-aged woman wore an old-fashioned waitress dress waitresses wore long ago in the 50s era. There was a farmer in a plaid shirt and overalls and a middle-aged man sitting at one of the tables. They looked at me, but no one said a word. It was dead quiet in that cafe. I asked if they had a washroom, and a woman pointed to a doorway without changing expression or saying a word. I had to go down a dingy staircase to the basement. A 60-watt light bulb hung from a wire in the washroom that was ancient and dirty. I did my business quicker than I ever have before. I was overwhelmed with a terrible sense of dread, and I got the hell out of there ASAP. As soon as I pulled back onto the highway, I was in a storm again, though not as intense as before. As I drove south from the storm, it dissipated. The gas station wasn't too far from Regina, and later when I told my cousin about it, she said that there was no such place. I insisted that there was. We drove out there together to try to find it, but we were never able to find that place. The area looked old and run down, but I will never forget that weird experience.
That is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane, but at the same time, like, I don't know why I believe it.
It's
Like,
also weird that there's so many people who experience it with
this
the
is what
storm.
exactly, yeah.
I wonder
It's
if like
always a
storms
storm.
kind of like
Do
create
they
some
have
kind
like
of a portal.
energy thing?
Like an energy shift. Like maybe it can move your energy from like positive to negative. So maybe like, let's say, now I'm just like thinking out of nowhere and probably I'm saying nonsense, but like if we're, what was it? Because they say black holes versus, there's that whole idea that there's like positive and negative energy or something. So what if maybe the electricity pulls you to the other side, like almost like the underground.
Maybe.
And
to
then
be honest, what I'm thinking with these kind of
you
like,
don't belong
topics,
there, so you push back out.
yeah, what I'm thinking with these kind of topics is like no one has
Any idea?
exactly.
If you think you have an
Let's just
idea, then
talk
you're
about
just like,
it.
you have no idea if you think you have an idea.
No fair. No, 100%. And then you
Yeah.
go in and then you realize that maybe not, but maybe yes. And maybe like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so,
Let's just avoid, no, let's just like, let's close this for a second.
yeah.
We have to avoid like storms. I'm not getting into a fucking storm, I'm telling you. If
It's
I
not
hear
just
a storm,
storms. It sounds like it's like when it's sunny and then all of a sudden out
Yeah,
of
exactly.
nowhere
Like-
it becomes stormy.
but like storms like
Yeah.
out of like, if for instance, tomorrow we go, I don't know, shopping, whatever. It's so basic.
I'm gonna
what I
see you.
just
You're
said.
gonna be like,
so basic
this
what I
was
just said.
not on the weather forecast. I'm out.
Exactly. It's so basic what I just said. But like, if there's a storm happening, I'm not moving. Telling you, I'm not going into any towns. I'm not taking the car. I'm staying here.
You're like pulled over on the side of the highway. The storm's not
Oh
passing.
yeah,
and you're like, I'm
not
done. I'm
moving.
done. I'm
no,
on
I'm not moving.
Just wait till we look at some other ones.
Oh god.
Here we have another story. My brother disappeared from the car.
Oh,
Another glitch in the
I'm
matrix.
done. What is this? I would go crazy.
Uh-huh.
To be honest, I'm like, I'm kind of have mixed feelings about it. Like half of me kind of would love to experience that.
I would be scared I had a brain tumor unless it was like a collective.
To be honest, this is the thing.
Because like that
Are
could
we
be it.
losing
Like something wrong with your brain.
Or like becoming
Like
blind?
carbon monoxide
Like,
poisoning. Like maybe like
Yeah.
something's going on with your brain. So like it's
yeah.
like, even if it is true that like our brain's like programmed to see something or we're programmed, maybe there's something going on in the environment that's causing everyone to collectively turn off a part of their brain. I don't know.
It's crazy.
But yeah, so the whole family was in the car. All seats were filled. We got to the bagel shop and everyone got out. Keep in mind, it's me, my parents, and my brother. We wait right next to the car for my brother for what seems like forever. I finally walk over to the car to tell him to get out, but no one was there. I tell my parents and we're like, what the fuck? We look around the car and we look around the shop for like 10 minutes, but nothing. The car alarm suddenly goes off and we see my brother stuck inside it with the doors locked. A true glitch in the matrix. Edit. Here are some more details. My brother is 24 and therefore
Oh, so like not even a child or something. I thought it was going to be a child.
well past the age of hiding from our family
Yeah,
for
exactly.
giggles.
Yeah.
The car isn't big enough to simply hide in either. It's a 4-seater and he was in the front passenger seat. We waited for him to get out of the car for a few moments. When I went over to tell him to hurry up, he wasn't in there. I called over to my parents and everyone peered in, astonished that he was not there. My dad locks the doors and we start looking around outside because maybe he just slipped out and we didn't notice. Then we hear a super loud car alarm and notice it's our car alarm. As we get closer, we see my brother was stuck in the car, obviously looking for a way to turn off the alarm. My dad unlocked the doors, asks where he was. My brother says that he was in the car the whole time. No one spoke about it further. Me being a part of this community, I wanted to share.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you for sharing.
Quick question though. He was inside the car. Can you not like open the car?
So they did. They were
No, but,
originally
like,
they looked
he
in the
couldn't
car.
open the car?
So the dad, before they went to look
They locked it
inside, they
before?
locked it before they went inside. So first they checked the car. He wasn't in
It
it.
was not that, yeah.
Then they locked the car and went to check the shop. He wasn't
Mm-hmm.
in there. And then they heard the car alarm going off and the brother was trying to get out of the car. So they locked the car after checking inside the car. And then they came.
But
And the
what-
brother trying to get out of the car eventually was set off the alarm.
But did we get like feedback from the brother?
So here,
Did
the
he say
person,
anything?
a commenter asked, did you ask him where he was
Yeah,
during
exactly.
the 10 minutes?
Where the fuck did he go?
So the poster writes, he says that he was sitting on the seat checking Twitter on his phone, but he wasn't there. We looked all over the car and there was nowhere to hide either. It was extremely strange.
And he didn't hear like his family wanted to go out.
Well, he did. He just was checking Twitter and like whatever.
It was
Then
he kept on like checking it.
yeah, he was just sitting on,
And the
I don't
fact
know.
that he was like front seat,
yeah,
like passenger, but whatever. But
Like, he should have been visible from the window.
24, like grown man.
So a commenter writes, in response to that comment, this is like those stories of those kids who go missing while immersed in TV. Have you heard of these stories?
No, never. What is that?
Yeah. He's then asked for an example, and so he provides. I recently tried to find it, but didn't have success. Basically, there's a story of a Redditor recounting when he was a boy around 6 years old, and he would go to the mall with his grandmother while she ran some errands, and he was told to wait for her and have a drink at a bar or something. So I guess this is back in the day. And
At 6?
I assume it's like in the mall. Like I'm assuming
get
she means
yourself
like
a
drink
beer.
a pop, like drink a pop while I'm going to run these errands, and like the
Yeah.
bartender will watch you or whatever.
Okay. This when the world was safer at the time, I guess.
Yeah.
You would not do
Also,
that now.
I feel like grandparents. I mean, I know my grandfather was a little bit less concerned about things. Like the world was a different place to my grandfather.
It was,
He definitely had left me at the park a couple of times and thought I'd make it home on my own. And my parents like, what the hell?
Oh my God.
And I was like, what do you mean? You made it on your own? Like you got home, you would be left
See,
at the park
your
all the time at
life. What are
6.
you complaining for?
So she would leave. The grandmother would leave him to have a drink while she was running errands at this bar.
Okay.
I think she means like a bar top at a restaurant. I don't think she means an actual bar. But
Because like dive bar, full thing, whiskey and coke. On
the
the
6-year-old
bar
just like, give me
Like, just,
another
like,
round.
Give me a shot.
Another
pickleback.
round.
A pickleback.
So this one time, he's thoroughly immersed in a game being shown on TV to the point where he felt like he disconnected from reality. Suddenly, his grandmother comes running and frantic and saying he's been missing for hours.
No.
They had searched the bar multiple times and hadn't seen him. Meanwhile, he insists he was parked there watching TV the entire time. There were a couple of Redditors in the comments saying that they had similar strange situations while they were immersed in TV. A different one I recall is when a guy woke up at 11 and found the house empty, so he went to watch TV for a bit. His parents came in after what he thought was a half hour, and they said they had been searching for him for hours and he was missing. I may have mixed up some details, but that's the gist of what I recall.
I've never heard of that.
People disappear all the time.
But they come back, at least.
Do they always?
No, but like in these stories.
In these stories, because they made it back. Sometimes people go missing. 411 missing report.
Yeah, no, 100%. But like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, what do you want to hear first?
Okay, tell me.
People disappearing in a water slide,
Oh my God.
or elevators freak me out. And for the first time, my mom believes that strange things happen to me.
Let's do the water slide. I'm kind of like, I'm wondering.
Okay, let's go.
Is it like a portal towards like some, like for something like another world? Like,
This is like the story itself is shorter, and it's an entry point to a comment that is
okay. Striking.
similar and fun.
All right.
By fun, I mean not fun at all.
Yeah,
and
no, I
scary.
see your face. I'm like, I'm scared. Okay.
Okay, so people disappearing in water slides. This is 8 years old, glitch in the Matrix. When I was around 12, I saw something strange happen at a water park. The park had a tower with 2 water slides, a long one and a shorter one. Me and my brother lined up in a queue. The queue was long, so to pass the time, we started trying to guess the gender of the person coming out the longer slide. We did that for a while until people stopped coming out completely.
Oh.
I didn't think it was too weird at the time, but then when I got to the top of the tower, I saw that people were still going in.
What?
I freaked out and told my brother that we should take the shorter slide. We did, and we met our parents at the bottom of the slide in the pool. They confirmed that no one had come out for 10 minutes, even though we saw people going in. The first people started coming out 5 minutes later.
What?
To this day, I have no explanation of what happened to the other people or if they came out the other side.
So like not even everyone came out.
I don't know. I feel like there would have been a crazy like panic if the kids weren't coming out. Maybe they just like were delayed. There was some time
Maybe
gap.
they were like someone was just like stuck in the water slide.
How many kids were stuck in the water slide?
I don't know.
before
Maybe
they-
there's a big like.
How is
traffic
no one
jam.
checking at the bottom to
No,
make
this
sure
is-
that
no,
the
to
kid
be
comes
honest,
out before?
This is what I was thinking. No
Yeah.
one is checking. Like, and where are the parents?
I don't know.
Like, where are the fucking parents?
I don't know. Not scared that the kids are drowning apparently or stuck in a water
God.
slide. Okay, here's a commenter. You aren't the only one. I saved this post from 6 years ago in my personal mysteries thread. I have no idea who wrote it, but your story reminded me of it. It's a bit long, but here it goes. Near where I grew up, there was a large amusement park. One half of it was rides and coasters, and the other half was a water park. Obviously, the summer jobs there were great pull when I was a teenager, and they employed a huge number of my friends who were on summer break from college. The jobs over at the water park were generally considered more desirable, although I was never able to get them because I'm a horrible swimmer. Basically, the water park opened later and closed earlier, so the shifts were nicer and they had to pay you more because you had to be a first aid and CPR certified lifeguard. A lot of my friends worked there, and I knew 3 people involved in the story. It started at a water slide, one of the huge tube slides that you had to walk up 7 flights of steps to get to the top of. One lifeguard was posted up top telling people when to go down, and one of my friends was a lifeguard at the bottom who helped people off the slide and gave them the all clear for the next person to go. A family had come with their child who was very young and apparently barely the height limit for the ride. The family was in line, and the father went first, kid second, mother last, so that somebody would be with the kid both at the top of the slide and the bottom of the slide. The father goes down the slide, gets off, and the lifeguard gives the all clear and waits. He can't really see what's going on top, but finally the next rider comes down. It's the mother, who walks over to the father and asks, "Where's their son?" There was a moment of confusion, and my friend is pulled aside by the family. The kid had been the next one to enter the slide on top before his mother, but had never come out the bottom. My friend is confused, calls up the top lifeguard, who verifies that the kid went down the slide between his parents. Neither my friend nor the father saw the kid come out the bottom. Until this is all figured out, they shut down the ride. The top lifeguards called security and report a missing child, while my friend calls the supervisor. The supervisor shows up and is apparently afraid that the kid is wedged in the tube somewhere, and in such a way that the mother failed to dislodge him coming down the slide. The way that they said it, it was apparently obvious that she was assuming that there was some kind of injury involved. The parents are obviously upset at this point and freaking out. And the super has the upper lifeguard go down the slide himself, spread out to make sure that there's no child jammed into the turns of the ride.
Oh my God.
He comes at the bottom having not dislodged the corpse of a child, and everyone is even more confused than ever. Meanwhile, security called saying that they just turned up a missing kid near one of the coasters. Could they get a description of the child missing? The super sort of dismisses it out of hand, as it couldn't have been the same child. The coaster they found the kid by was clear across the park, and the child was only missing for a few minutes at this point. Instead, she had a bunch of lifeguards run up and down the stairs and come down the slide, still hoping to dislodge the kid, while the other employees quietly looked around the bottom in case the kid somehow managed to fall out of the tube. Meanwhile, upper management is called in, and the parents of the kid are alternating between yelling and blaming each other, panicking and threatening to sue the park. Upper management calls security and asks them to pull security footage from the top of the slide to try to figure out what happened. A kid a few years ahead of me in high school happened to be working security, and he was there when they pulled the footage of the slide, and one of the security guards says that he is almost positive that the kid that they have in the next room is the same kid.
No, that's crazy.
They get the kid's name, and sure enough, he's the missing child, and he is in the room safe and sound.
So like he jumped, like he went down the water slide, no one saw him, and then he had time to go to where did they find him?
Across the park. So
Oh my God.
here's where things get weird. The footage shows the father, kid, and mother entering the slide. It's also time-stamped, so they know when the child went down the slide. The incident report for when the kid was found clear across the park, behind the roller coaster, shows he was discovered less than 5 minutes later. If you've ever noticed, nothing in an amusement park is laid out linearly. There's always fences and bushes and buildings between you and where you want to go. The idea is to make you ramble about between rides to cut down on ride wait times. My friend, who was the security guard, tested it, and walking at a stiff clip and knowing all of the best shortcuts, it was a 20-minute walk for him to get from the water slide to that side of the park where the kid was found. Furthermore, when you hit the edge of the water park, there are signs that shirts and shoes are required to be worn past that point. If you saw anyone, even a kid, walking past there,
you would stop him
without a shirt and without shoes, you would detain them. The kid was found barefoot and shirtless in just his swim trunks. The idea that no one across 12 acres would stop this kid, who to travel that far had to be running, and ask him to put on appropriate clothing is just weird. Weirdest of all is that in the incident report, it says that the child seemed disoriented
Oh God.
and was not able to respond to questions. It also stated that the kid who was on the water slide 5 minutes prior was bone dry. This was the talk of the park for about a week, with everyone trying to come up with explanations. Guards searching the other security footage to try to find the kid come across the park, people trying to get from one slide to the coaster, etc. Then upper management came out and basically hushed it all up. Supervisors told us that if we heard anyone talking about it, they would be fired. Pretty soon the park moved on to whatever was next, and it got swept aside. But yeah, child goes down slide and into time space portal type thing.
Yeah. And like literally went to like another part of the park. At least it didn't disappear fully. Thank God.
Maybe alien abduction.
Oh my God.
He was abducted and then left somewhere else.
No, I don't know. And the fact that, and do we have news from the kid? Like, is this like...
This is the kid's not the one telling the story.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I have no idea. So we have one more story if you want to hear it.
Yeah, go.
Okay. So we have, this one is called Elevators Freak Me Out. And this is the first time my mom believed that weird shit happens to me regularly.
I'm scared because actually elevators, like,
they creep you out too.
They creep me out so bad. Like, I feel like every time I'm in one and it's not really moving properly, I'm just going to die there. No one is going to find me. Or like I'm ready to press the alarm button.
This is like, I hear you. I'm always scared of getting like stuck in an elevator more than anything.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. First off, I know this is nothing compared to the other stories here, but I chose to share because why not? Before and after this incident, several other things did and continue to happen to me, and they're strange. I have just gotten used to and have learned to appreciate them. So this is when I was about 8 years old, 2001. My mom, brother, aunt, and grandma all traveled to Chicago to see Dinosaur Sue. We had been staying in a hotel nearby for about 5 days. It was very upscale, new, and overall very nice. Those entire 5 days, my mom would let me run ahead to the elevator when returning to our room from swimming and getting ice, etc. And let me ride up alone since our room was right to the left of the elevator when you got off. And my grandmother would always be there with the door cracked a little open. So one day on the way back from the pool, literally just got out of the water, wet hair, suit, towel, I did the usual and ran ahead of my mom. Entered the elevator, pressed the button to the 7th floor. There was only one elevator in this entire hotel, by the way.
Once I got not convenient.
There's always one in these stories. They're very clear.
There's literally like one a bit dark, like doesn't really work that well.
Once I got off on the 7th floor, which I knew by the signs outside the elevator, I went to the second door on the left, like I had maybe 20 times before that week. I knocked and knocked, nothing. I remember becoming weirdly alarmed at this point. Best way I could describe it, even though I was smart enough to know I could always just return to the lobby, or my mom would be arriving shortly. While wondering why my grandmother wasn't answering the door, I returned the few feet to the elevator and waited for my mom and brother. I saw on the display that the elevator was arriving on floor 7, the floor that I was on, which was clearly written on the sign beside the elevator. I see the light, I hear the elevator ding, the doors open, and the elevator is empty. At this point, I just feel like something is very off and return to the door, knocking and crying now, getting cold because I am still very wet from the pool. Finally, after no more than 1 minute, a very old woman answers the door and says, "Dear, I told you already yesterday, this is not your room."
What do you mean? I told you yesterday. Oh my God.
I had not been there yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. I'm pretty sure there was no yesterday.
She then said, "It'll be fine. I am very sorry, but I'm on the phone with my son. Give it a few more minutes. Your mom is coming." And then she closed the door. I was shocked.
Okay.
I knew I was cute, and I didn't understand how anyone could close the door on a crying kid who lost their mother.
100%.
Especially a woman who seemed like a caring grandmother.
I knew I was cute. That is so funny.
Well, I'm not just any kid. I was like, a cute crying kid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm cute.
Who would say no to a cute crying kid?
Who would like shut the door on me? Oh my God. Okay, yeah.
Almost immediately after she closed the door, the elevator opened and my mom came out crying and grabbed me. She was saying, "Oh, honey, where were you? I have been so worried." She then went to open the door. Was in our room. She was stunned. The whole time, I'm trying to explain that I had been here. And in my timeline of events, it had only been about 5 minutes. Her still hugging and holding me, she kind of just went into autopilot and went back to the elevator with me. She pressed 7 again. The doors closed super briefly and then reopened. The elevator didn't move at all. Once the doors opened, we saw my grandmother standing in the second door to the left crying. And then she became very happy and was running towards us to hug us. Apparently, I had been missing for 45 minutes.
Oh my God.
Police were called. Every floor
Oh my God.
Yeah. Police were called. Every floor had been gone to, and they were still in the process of knocking on every single door, opening up locked, vacant rooms. Apparently, my mother had decided to once more go and look at the pool to see if I had returned there.
Mm-hmm.
Then, after seeing it empty, she took the same only elevator back up to the 7th floor. Only this time, out of the multiple other times that day, she found me. And not only that, we were clearly not in the elevator hiding out, as it was the only one. And the police and staff had gone up and down the elevator multiple times looking for me. We still talk about it to this day, and I can't explain it. My hair was still pretty wet when they found me. The police were kind of pissed until the hotel staff pulled up the camera showing me getting on the elevator, but then never getting off.
Oh my God.
Then what was the creepiest was when my mother got on from the lobby, you see her get on, and then 10 minutes pass, and then she gets off at floor 7 with me in her arms. They went through all the cameras, all floors, with all clear angles of the elevator on each floor and nothing. So I guess they see her go into the lobby, the mother on the cameras.
Yeah.
And then they don't see her get out on any floor until she gets out with the daughter back on the 7th floor when they were together.
I guess it's weird though because they don't see the mother either.
So when the mother went back up, when she did find her on the 7th floor, she wasn't on the cameras either.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's
they
weird.
don't see her until she comes down on the until she comes out with the daughter when they reopen the elevator.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I swear the staff was freaked out, as were the police. They were almost convinced that somebody had taken me and then became freaked out and left me shortly after. They were stumped as to why my hair was still wet 45 minutes later. But they also couldn't refute the cameras, as they were high resolution and working correctly and everything. I have always wanted to call back and see if they still talk about it years later. I just don't want to mess with it because it's not like I even see the event as serving a purpose, you know? I have no clue who the woman was, nor was I ever able to identify her. So remember the old lady that was like, you were here yesterday.
Oh my, this is the thing.
Because of the investigation, even after they found me, they locked down the hotel and all possible exits of the perimeter. Chicago does not fuck around when it comes to possible abductions. Every guest in the hotel was more than happy to help. Women from ages 15 on, all willing to let the police take photos. Not one of them was the woman. The woman had very blue eyes, like very, very blue.
Like alien blue?
Maybe.
We never know.
The only possible connection I can think of is that the woman and I had almost identical eyes.
No.
Yes.
No.
I have a kind of rare color blue eye.
No.
Based on how dark my hair is.
I have chills.
But I don't know.
Is it her from the future? Did she met her from the future? She's having a son.
There's a story that I don't have here that's wild.
I have chills.
Maybe if we have time, I can read it. But it's not a long one, but it's a crazy one. Thank you to everyone for offering explanations, as this is one of the rare instances that was on camera. I'll post some other experiences in the comments when I get done running, and I can't really reply to everybody right now.
She's so like open with her life, like just says everything.
She's like, also, do you think if I contacted the hotel or police department, they would give me the footage? And she's like, update 1. Just texted my mom. She thinks that it might have been at a DoubleTree. I'm not sure. I'm going to look for it. At my grandmother's this week. Going to look through photos. She has tons from that trip.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's going on talking about pictures. She says that she was looking for a photo of her great grandmother to see if it was her.
Yeah.
She said she died at the age of 30, so it would be odd for her to appear as an old woman. She's looking for the hotel. Nobody can seem to remember the hotel name. She has some photos uploaded here of herself when she was on that trip.
Yeah.
And then she says that she called the police department and they have no clue what she's talking about. And she says she finds it weird.
Wait.
She called the police station.
They don't have like any case about that?
Well, she says, I mean, I don't know how long they keep files like that, they've been resolved.
Right. Yeah.
But she says that they have no clue what she's talking about. She says the people in her family remember the story and remember everything, but they don't remember the name of the hotel. And her grandmother remembers all hotel names except for this one, apparently.
That is so weird.
Yeah. So then a commenter asked, you mentioned some other strange things happened to you. Do you mind sharing? So she writes, of course, nothing compared to this really, but just a rare event here and there. A good part about this happening is that my mom and grandmother never questioned me anymore about when things happen to me.
So it's not the first time something is happening to her.
So she says, one example is when I was 8 years old in grade school, I was sitting in class when all of a sudden my friend sitting next to me said, hey, look at the man on the sidewalk. Pure boredom here. Seeing a human outside of school was very exciting. I turned and looked. Right as I did, the man blew a kiss and walked down the street. It was my grandfather. I was like, what the fuck? After school, I was picked up by a friend's parents and taken straight to gymnastics. When I got home, I was about to tell my parents that I saw Papa Al when my dad told me to sit down. Very nonchalantly, I said, it's Grandpa Al, isn't it? My parents were horrified. Even my dad, a very strong Catholic, no bullshit, left the room.
No, I have chills.
Apparently, my grandpa, who was very healthy, had a stroke on the highway and died that day.
No, I'm going to cry. So like she saw him just say goodbye.
He came and said goodbye to her. She saw him.
Yeah.
And he had the stroke at around a similar
like
time.
At the same time, yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I want to see if I can find this story.
To be honest, I also do believe in like intuition and stuff like that. So maybe she just sensed it. She knew.
Yeah.
And maybe he was not really there and she just like imagined him, but like she still sensed that maybe it's his time, to go. I don't know.
Maybe. I feel like there is, maybe she's just more, maybe he knew that he could access her like maybe he knew that she was more open to it because of parallel experiences. So like she's the one who he went to. Maybe there's like some intuition. Maybe you just like kind of know.
Maybe you just know. And she saw him. I don't know.
Okay. Now we are back with the final story.
Okay. Tell me everything.
Are you ready?
Yes. Always.
This is also in Glitch of the Matrix, and it's one of my favorite stories.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm glad I get to tell it to you, but I feel like you'll like enjoy it. Okay. It's called Saw Myself in a Crib, Completing a Memory That I've Had My Entire Life.
Oh my God.
Yeah. When I was about 2, a woman walked into my room with a shirtless man and peered into my crib. Her face was twisted with horror and shock as she backed out of the room and screamed in the hallway. The memory followed me my entire life. It was one of the earliest memories I've ever had, the one that is the most vivid. My mother said that somebody broke into our house on drugs, and my dad had to chase them out.
Wait, what?
I'm not going to smudge the fact that I took a heavy amount of acid one night, just for fun, when I was 21. Yeah.
No. Was she the woman?
Oh my God.
And
And I know that it can alter the way somebody takes in things, whether they're real or not real.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought more of LSD as being just a fun trick of the brain, but this experience made me ward that off completely. I was camping and walked off at night like a moron and became lost in the woods. I realized the danger I was in because I was tripping pretty badly, and I knew that the best thing to do was to stay still and wait, even though it felt like time was being a bit warped. I waited under the tree with my head tucked into my lap. When I looked up, I saw a red door just standing freely about 15 feet away. I couldn't not walk to it. LSD is fun to me, and I wanted to see what would happen.
Oh my God.
I didn't notice at the time the fact that it felt like I was not tripping. Time felt intact, and there was nothing out of place other than this random red door. I walked through it and found myself standing in a small living room with walls that had wooden paneling and smelt like pot roast. I walked into the kitchen, admiring the checkered floors and collection of McDonald's cups with various cartoon characters on them. Eventually, I wandered down the hall, and that's when things became fucky. Funky? No, she says fucky. It suddenly felt real, like I could be caught and punished. I ducked into a small room that was decorated like a nursery, and as soon as I saw the crib, I knew. I looked over the rail, and there was my younger self, looking right back at me.
Oh my God.
I felt panic as I turned around and began to quickly leave the home. My husband was standing behind me in the hall. He said something, but it was like there was no air that could pass between us to carry the noise of what he was saying.
So the husband was there as well?
The husband was behind her when she was in the hall, and as a kid, I think she mentioned that she saw that her husband
with like
that there was a man
shirtless
behind her.
man, blah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, he said something, but it was like there was no air that could pass between us to carry the noise. I ran past him. I wanted to see my parents. The door at the end of the hall flew open, and there was my father, his eyes wide with fear as he looked right into mine. He yelled, "Get the fuck out." I began to scream. I wanted to hug him. I tell him that it was me and that I was so fucking scared and I didn't want to hurt anyone. My mom appeared behind him with a handgun. I said, "Dad, it's me. Mom, it's me." But she held the gun up as I ran to the door. When I opened it, there was no night sky, no dimly lit porch, just a vast amount of color. I can only visually recall the color white, but I remember my inner dialogue being overwhelmed by color and trying to grasp physical space. So it sounds like she walked out into weird colors, but she only remembers white. But she remembers in her mind thinking, why are there so many colors, and not being able to like feel
understand reality. Blah, blah. I have two questions.
Mm-hmm.
First, like the mom, when she told like her daughter about like this story, blah blah, did the mom remember anything that this woman would have said to her?
So we'll get there. The story's not done.
Oh, it's not done. Okay.
So eventually the acid wore off, my memory returned, and I was tucked into a sleeping bag in my cabin. My husband came looking for me and says he found me clinging to a tree and that I remained catatonic until I fell asleep.
Oh my God.
It took me a long time to talk about
it. Please be careful
with
with drugs, kids. Like, please be careful.
There are some rare experiences. You will not get into it, but I did not
it's
do
another
it.
episode.
It took me a long time to talk about it with anyone. But I asked my mom one day to tell me more about what happened that night that she chased the intruders from her home. And she said the woman looked scared. She called out, "Dad, Mom," to us.
No.
That made it hard. So this is the mom speaking.
Yeah.
That made it hard for me to point a gun at her. Thank God it scared them off, because I don't think I could have pulled the trigger looking at her. She was someone else's daughter too. I found out about 4 weeks after that trip that I was 15 weeks pregnant, after being told that my PCOS made it nearly impossible to have kids without medical assistance. I am 100% in agreement that the effects of LSD can do some pretty crazy shit to a person. I know what I felt. I know what I saw. I just don't understand how the fuck any of it happened. Edit. Whoa, I didn't expect this to blow up. I posted it really late from my phone as I was going to bed. Sorry if it reads weird. I was just trying to get it all out while remaining coherent. I'm really sorry I didn't get to respond to any of the comments. I didn't realize intoxicants are a no-no here. My bad. But like I said before, I do realize that the presence of LSD does affect the legitimacy of my experience. And then afterwards she writes, I didn't ask my mom what the woman looked like because I know any sort of bias can affect the way she remembers things and make it invalid. What did make our conversation valid was the way she described things when I asked her after lines up perfectly with my experience without sharing my experience with her whatsoever. I didn't know up until having the experience that she even had a gun and that she was pointing it at me.
Oh, so she didn't have all the informations before having the LSD trip thing.
Yeah.
Because this was going to be like my follow-up question, right? Like, trauma is a thing.
For sure.
I was thinking like maybe she just relived what like
she relived like what
it was.
Or like she just saw it from a different perspective when she was high, like she hallucinated it.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't there, but how would she remember? And maybe this
is the problem. Like it's like having exactly the same, like what happened, the gun, the words, everything. Like for instance, I got like my house was like broken into when I was like a kid. And then I don't remember anything because like, I mean, I was younger and my dad just like screamed at the people to have them like go away. And I woke up with the cops in my house. Would I like, if I have like LSD once, I don't think I will, but like if I have it, would I maybe relive this? I don't know. I mean, you think you relive trauma? Like maybe this triggers something.
There's some, I mean, is it possible that this is a full loop cycle, or is it also possible that when she was on LSD, she was reliving a trauma like from the perspective of somebody else, but also maybe she accessed that like maybe she was able to, because we're all connected, maybe she actually visualized a memory from the other person. So maybe it wasn't her, but maybe she tapped into the consciousness of whoever it was. Possible too, but also the fact that her husband ended up following her and like found her, and the fact that she as a kid remembers her being a man. but like the man wasn't talking, but he was behind her. Like that even is a
Like
weird.
this whole thing, like first memory, and then
Because her
living
husband
that,
being there, like
30
he had
years
to be there
later.
in order for it to fully be complete.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if he
it
didn't
was a
follow
man.
her into that, if he didn't find her, then he wouldn't have been in the memory. And then the kid, but as a kid, she remembered, and the parents remember there being a male involved.
Yeah, but again, at the same time, and again, I'm playing like the
Yeah.
more like grounded
No, for
person
sure.
in this conversation, right? In the sense of like, you can dream whatever.
Mhm.
I think like what I think is like she got triggered by this trauma, like that's
Maybe.
been told to her since she was a kid. She
Well, I
stored
don't know
it
that
as
they
a
ever
memory.
told it to
This
her.
is the thing. This is what we need to know. Can we ask her? Find her.
Just inbox her from 7
Find
years
her,
ago.
literally. I don't know.
Like
So
there are
many
comments
questions.
here. Like I wonder. Somebody writes here, I'm a big believer that time isn't linear and that like
Yeah.
all things, there's a balance between good and not good, not necessarily evil, and things can get fucked along the way. Maybe the effects of LSD enabled you to see this not very linear passage of time, and somehow things got a bit screwy when you walk through that door.
Maybe. It's so fucked. Like, to be honest, like the scene
Yeah.
of her staring into her own like baby soul is insane.
Yeah, like staring at yourself as a, like maybe she accessed a memory of somebody who did that.
Maybe. But like,
But
she
also
had this,
maybe
like,
it was-
happened to her. So like, you know, in a way, to be honest, what I think
So
as well is like, yeah, I don't know. Nothing is
So crazy.
erased from your memory ever. So like, as a baby, she can remember stuff.
Yeah.
And then LSD triggered this back and she relived the thing. It's fucked.
But
And
like,
like, to be honest,
even the
whatever is the
fact-
explanation is insane.
but even the fact that the mom was like, she kept yelling mom and
Yeah,
dad.
yeah. This
Like,
one is crazy.
So, because she was yelling because it was her mom and dad. And like
Yeah.
that caused the mom not to pull the trigger, even though she had an intruder, because she was like,
Yeah.
that's someone's daughter. She's yelling mom and dad.
Yeah, I don't want to kill her. What if she would have pulled the trigger?
I don't know.
Oh my God, she would have
But,
died
like-
in one reality.
Yeah.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe that's like how sometimes people go missing and shit. Maybe they like
Because
jump
they've
into
been
another
killed
reality
in,
and then they
like,
don't come
one of
back
the
because of,
realities.
I don't know.
There's so many like
There's so many questions.
unresolved, like,
No
yeah,
answers.
so many questions.
Nobody is ever going to come here with answers. They're going to leave here with many questions.
100%. But then
Yeah.
it's more like it's nicer for
Making
us
you
because
think.
we can talk about it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all we have for today. How are you feeling?
Very good.
How are you?
I want to hear more.
Yeah.
Like
I was
literally.
like, when you mentioned like a time loop or something or whatever it was that you triggered, I was like, oh, I love this story. I wasn't gonna pull it in, but like
No, it's perfect.
this story's so good.
I love tapping in this kind of things. Obviously for me
Yeah.
it's like a bit different because like I think like I've always been like open to like listening to these kind of things. I think with like meeting you as well a year ago, like you telling me about all these stories like made me want to learn more. So I was very happy to be in this episode
And
today.
you'll be back.
Yes, I'm
You'll
excited
be
for
back.
it whenever you want.
Okay, well, that is all for today, folks. Hopefully we didn't bore you too much or talk your ears off, and I hope everybody enjoyed all the creepy, silly story. Well, not silly, the creepy stories and wild stories. And yeah, bye-bye.